जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन, 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 यमुना तीर वनचारी, यमुना तीर वनचारी, यमुना तीर वनचारी, राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपीजनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन 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 यमुना तीर वनचारी यमुना तीर वनचारी यमुना तीर वनचारी यमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी यमुना तीर वनचारी यमुना तीर वनचारी यमुना तीर वनचारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Jai Sachinandan, Jai Sachinandan, Jai Sachinandan, Jai Sachinandan, Jai Sachinandan, Gaura Hare, Jai Jai Sachinandan, Gaura Hare. Jai Krishna Balaram, Jai Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram. Lalita Vishakha Jaya Radhe Shyam. Lalita Vishakha Jaya Radhe Shyam. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Jai Gurudev, 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 Gurudev. Gaura Premanande Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pravijagacharya Ashtotra Shata Shri Srimad Srila Abhay Charanand Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Nama Acharya Srila Thakur Haridas Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Ganga Devi Ki Jai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Rani Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Harinama Sankirtana Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Samsthapak Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Go Premanande. All glory Sri Samal devotees. All glory Sri Samal devotees. All glory Sri Samal devotees. All glory to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Jai Shri Prabhupada. I was asked to speak on the topic of Krishna's childhood pastimes, but I don't remember the exact reference. So if anybody has any particular section that you want to hear from, we can read that part. No? Should we go home? Huh? Okay, I think that we were supposed to be right around chapter 10 or 11, was it? 11, okay. So this is 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and we'll be reading from, it's here it said, Childhood Pastimes of Krishna, that's right. So this is chapter 11. Huh? Okay, well, we'll do more than that. All right, so first we'll do Mangalacharana. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashta Prayeshwa Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir bhavati naishtiki Krishne swadhamo pagate dharmajnanadibhisaha kalau nashtadrishamesha puranarko dhunoditaha. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 11, the Childhood Pastimes of Krishna. I will read first of all the chapter summary, and then we'll proceed. This chapter describes how the inhabitants of Gokula left Gokula and went to Vrindavana, and how Krishna killed Vatsasura and Bukasura. When the Yamala Arjuna trees fell, they made a tremendous sound like that of falling thunderbolts. Being surprised, Krishna's father Nanda and the other elderly inhabitants of Gokula went to the spot where they saw the fallen trees and Krishna standing between them, bound to the ulukala, the wooden mortar. No doubt he was smiling. They could find no cause for the trees having fallen and Krishna's being there, because Mother Yashoda put him in a different spot. He dragged it. They wanted to find Krishna was frustrated because he was all tied up. Yashodaya garhamulukhalena gokantha pashena nibadhyamanam rurodamandam navanita bhoji govinda damodara madhaveti. He was tied up with a cow's halter by Mother Yashoda to this wooden grinding mortar, and he was hankering after the butter that he usually stole at that time of day. And he was frustrated because he was checked. Who was checked? Navanita Bhoji. What does Navanita Bhoji mean? Yeah, the one who he steals butter, he enjoys butter, he eats butter, he plunders it. Normally, that was his activity. This time, he was caught. And all the gopis, they were all passing by, and they were all doing like this. And all of Krishna's friends also were making fun of him, so he was totally humiliated and completely frustrated. So he was whimpering and whining and complaining that he wanted to do something else. This is Bhagavan. Aham bhakta paradhino, he tells, that I am actually subservient, I'm inferior to my devotees. I'm subjugated by my devotees. And we know from the Puranas, Satyavrata Muni tells us, Iti driksva lilabhirananda kunde swaghosham nimajjantam akhyapayantam. Ananda kunde nimajjantam. He pushes them down into the Ananda Kunda. He drowns them in the Ananda Kunda. He submerges them there. Iti driksva lilabhir. By these kinds of leelas. Who does he drown? Devotees, only the devotees. Not the yogis, not the karmis, not the gyanis, not the yogis. Only the devotees. Swaghosham, his own village people. The ones that he likes. So, nimajjantam akhyapayantam. Akhyapayantam means he wants to declare this. To whom does he want to declare this? Akhyapayantam. To all the non-devotees who might be his devotees, if they knew. So, iti driksvalilabhirananda kunde nimajjantam akhyapayantam tadiyeshita gneshu. Those persons who are ishita geshus, people who know about his lordliness only. The whole world knows that God is great. Allahu Akbar. Or in the Christian tradition also, they're worshiping God as supreme majesty, awe and reverence. Nobody's prepared to take a stick and beat Bhagavan with it. But Krishna's devotees, Yashoda Mai, Nanda Maharaj, and the other Vrajavasis, They're so much dear to Krishna, they have such an intimate relationship with him, that they can do this. And he likes it. It's his own choice. This is how he enjoys. Na tasya karyam karanam cha vidyate, na tat samaschabhyadhikascha drishyate, parasya shaktir vividhai vishruyate, subhaviki jnana bala kriyacha. Where is this verse from? Shvetashvatara Upanishad. It means, natasya karyam. What is karya? Kaj. Something you have to do. You have to go to, wherever you work, Oracle or Amazon or Infosys or whatever it is. We have to do this. And God has no kaj to perform. He has no obligatory duties that he has to perform. So what does he do all day long? He plays with his devotees. His program is only the devotees. Devotees, their only program is Krishna, but Krishna's only program is the devotees. So, tadiyeshitagneshu bhakter jitatvam. I can be conquered by my devotees. This is what he's declaring. To whom? To the jnanis, mainly. Jnanis and also other kinds of karmis, any kind of non-devotees. You can have this kind of relationship with me, he says, but it's only through bhakti. I'm conquered only by that. Nothing else impresses him so much, because he's better than everyone. Okay, so Krishna was playing like this, and he decided with his friends he wanted to pull the mortar over to another spot where it might be nicer to play. There was more room to run around in. So he went over there. That's where he was. But in order to get there, he had to go through these two Arjuna trees. Everyone seen Arjuna trees? What do they look like? We don't have them in America, I think. Big, big, thick roots. It's kind of like in the American southeast, you get cypress trees. They're kind of the same thing. Big, strong roots. It's not easy to pull them out. So Krishna chose these two just to demonstrate to the Gyanis what he can do. And he pulled down the trees, and the children thought, well, they didn't understand really very much what was happening. But when Nanda Maharaj came on the spot, and Nanda and the other adults, they couldn't figure out how in the world this happened. Here Prabhupada continues, they thought this might be the work of some other asura who had met Krishna on this spot, and they inquired from the playmates of Krishna about how the whole incident had taken place. The children properly described how everything had happened, but the elderly persons could not believe the story. This is Yoga Maya. There is a kind of Maya that works on the liberated souls in Krishna's own association, but it's not this Mahamaya with which we're intimate. It is the Yoga Maya potency, special potency that bewilders their understanding of his godliness in order to provide sweetness. This Leela is full of sweetness. So the children, Nanda Maharaj and the other adults, they asked the children, what happened? They said, well, Krishna wanted to go play over there, so he pulled this thing, and it hit the trees and knocked them over, and two golden people came out, and they started talking to Krishna. That's as much as they could realize. This was their Yogamaya covering. Nanda Maharaj, on the other hand, his Yogamaya covering was that, no, this is impossible, it can't happen. The children were telling the truth. Children are telling the truth. Just like when they catch Krishna taking butter from their houses, the gopis, including Yashoda, they scold him, and they say, well, why did you do this? And Krishna says, no, I didn't do this. Well, who did it? The butter is all broken, everything is everywhere. What happened? He said, Bhagavan did it. He's not lying. He's telling the truth. This is from Gopal Champu. Just like somebody was asking me about deity worship. When we have deities in our homes, it's understood that the deity becomes like a guest. So he has to accept whatever you feed him. It doesn't have to have the strong, very strict, high standard that we have in the temple. Temple is a very strict standard. At home, you can give him whatever you can manage. He understands. Because Atiti Devo Bhava. The uninvited guest is God. In this case, he's invited, of course. Krishna is always invited. Okay, so the children properly described everything, but the elderly persons could not believe their story. Some of them, however, thought that it might be true. Some of them thought that it could be true. Why? Because in Krishna's pastimes, there are different degrees of covering. Kunti Devi, for example, she's also feeling some vatsalya rasa towards the Lord. Why? Because she's his auntie. She's natural. But at the same time, she knows that he's God. This is why she says, Gopyada de trekatagasidama tavad yate dashashrukalilāņjana sampramaksham vaktram dniya bhayabhavanaya sthitasya samam vimohyati bhir abhiyad bibheti. She says, I can't understand this. You are feared by fear personified. Where do we hear this? Anybody know the verse? There's a shloka. Recite it. Apanna sangsritin ghodam ityadi. Yanama vivasho granan. Yad bibheti sayam bhayam. This is the point. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes this in his commentary on this passage of the Bhagavatam. That she's referring to this verse, actually. It's well known that when one chants the holy name in a helpless state, what is that helpless state? Vivasha. Vasha. Vasha means to be overtaken by some other force. So vivasha means very much so, overwhelmed. When a person is overwhelmed and takes shelter of Krishna in this helpless mood, then, what is the third line? Yes. Tato sadhya vimuchyeta. Very quickly, Krishna, he cannot stand that. If his devotee is in some distress, he cannot stand this. He'll do something. He's always responsive. So pratishad of the time. So, yad bibheti swayam bhayam. She can't understand that although you're feared by fear personified, I see that you were actually crying and you were actually afraid. Now the question among the acharyas is this. There are two opinions amongst the acharyas about this. Some of them say that it was just an act because God is never afraid. And that's not incorrect. They're correct about that. Others say, no, he was actually afraid because he submits to his devotee in this way. And by the Yogamaya potency, which is his own potency and working for his satisfaction, she wants to please him, so she steps in and covers him over, and he likes that. It's like intoxication, crude example. A person doesn't have to become intoxicated, but they like to do it. They knowingly, intoxication, what does it call? What does it mean? You're toxifying yourself, knowingly. It's such a nasty habit, actually, in this world, intoxication. It destroys families, it blows out your brain cells, they're not replaceable, you know, anybody who's a doctor knows. It's just a nasty, nasty habit. It eats up your liver, so many things it does, so destructive. But in the spiritual world, there's a special kind of intoxication, which is not liquor. It's intoxication of love. Only for this intoxication, Krishna sets aside his godliness. He forgets even the fact that he himself is God. He's willing to forget about it for some time and enjoy these pastimes. So she says, you're really afraid. And several of the acharyas, the more advanced acharyas, they understand this. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and other Gaudiya Vaishnava acharyas, they say, no, he's actually afraid. This is inconceivable to us. Okay, so some of them, however, some of the cowherd men here in Gokula, they thought that it might be true since they had already seen many wonderful incidents in connection with Krishna. This big whirlwind had come, Putana had come to kill him, so many things. They find him playing happily on the top of this 8-mile-long witch who's dead. They're thinking all these things keep happening to Krishna, but by the grace of Narayan, he's saved. But then some of them remembered that actually when Krishna was named, who did the Namakaran ceremony for Krishna? Garga Rishi. And what did he say about Krishna? He told he told Vasudeva what? Your son will be Narayana Sama. he will be equal to Narayana. He's also not telling a lie, he's telling the truth, but he's saying it in such a way that he can't understand. So all are playing their part in the spiritual realm. So anyway, some of them had some doubts. Just like when Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill, those who were deeply absorbed in Maya, Yoga Maya that is, they thought, no, it's not actually Krishna, but it's all the cowherd men are holding up the sticks and helping him. So because of them, nobody could believe. And the gopis, they're looking at Krishna, and when Krishna sees the gopis looking at them, he gets a little bit nervous and the hill shakes. And the cowherd boys, they feel that, no, it's because of us. So everybody has his own spin. So if you find differences among the Vaishnavas, it's normal, even in the spiritual world. And not only differences, but conflicts, antithetical, irreconcilable differences. It happens. We see this. We read this here, I think, no? In Srimad Bhagavatam, maybe a year or two ago. Was it here? Yeah. So, Kamsa's mother, for example, when she's hearing too much glorification of the Vrajavasis, she just can't stand it anymore. And she's pacing around the room and trying to hold it in, but eventually she just blows up and says, look, you don't know anything about how they treated that boy, Krishna. They made him go out and take care. One boy is given responsibility for thousands and thousands of cows. How can he do it? Because she's actually covered over too. And she says they didn't even give him any shoes to wear. You know the story about that. Krishna wants his own shoe. They want to give him some shoes to wear, and Krishna says, I'm not wearing any shoes until all my cows have shoes. They didn't give him any shoes to wear. They didn't give him anything to eat. What did he have to do? He had to go and steal things in order to eat. This is her understanding. It's been described in the previous chapter. Mother Yashoda had certain cows that she only fed very flavorful grasses to. Like, I don't know, other places, but in Mumbai they have lemongrass. You've had this? You can make tea out of it and everything. It tastes very, very nice fragrance, and taste also is there. So she was giving these kinds of things only to these special cows, first class, high productive cows, you can say, high producers. And with the milk that they produced, she was taking very much care to produce so many kinds of milk sweets and other things. So Krishna took that butter and he fed it to the monkeys. He didn't touch a bit for himself. This is described. He took the special butter that she took so much care and he gave it to the monkeys just to incense his mother. And that worked. She was very mad. She said, look, you're such a thief. She said, your father's side of the family, it's from them. She said, you're no better than a monkey. Because the monkeys, they all steal. In Vrindavan, they say, why do the monkeys are so rascals? Because they were trained up by Krishna. But Yashoda is covered by Yogamaya. She doesn't understand. He's the one who trained them up. She thinks that somehow by bad association, you're no better than a monkey. And then Krishna says, okay, he's also angry. Because he's still angry because he came to get milk from Mother Yashoda. She suddenly put him down and ran away. Oh, what is this? So that's why he did it. And he's still angry. She's also angry. It's a fight, Jiva Goswami describes. Big trauma in Gokula that day. So then Krishna's out there feeding to the monkeys. And his mother comes and catches him surreptitiously. But he saw her and he started running away. You all know the story. So Krishna said, look, you said I'm a monkey, so I'm going to go and live with the monkeys. I'm not coming home again. Sometimes the kids, any parent knows, they get angry and they want to run away from home. So Krishna was like this day. And he said, I'm going to go and stay with the monkeys in the forest. And what will you do? What will you eat? I'll drink the milk from the cows. No problem. Gopis will come and bring me something. So this was a big fight, and anyway, it's a long story, a very long story in the Gopal Champu of Srila Jiva Goswami. But Nanda Maharaj came out and he saw Krishna tied up, he saw the trees put down like this, and he said, "Who did this?" And Krishna was a little bit hesitant to say. Finally he told him, "Mata." They asked Krishna, that said, let's go home, it's been enough trauma for the day. One demon per day is about as much as they can handle. So then they wanted to bring him home, but Krishna said, "I'm not going home." Then Rohini, whenever there's a real problem, Yashoda can't handle the situation, she calls on Rohini. Rohini is Balaram's mother. So Rohini came and said, "Krishna, come with us." She said, Krishna he was still mad. He said, "No, I'm not going with you either." Why? Because when I was tied up to the mortar, you were laughing at me. You sided with Yashoda, I'm not going with you either. Even Balaram tried to get him to come home. And still he won't even Balaram has no sway. Balaram is Bade Bhai. He can't do anything either. He's adamant about this. So finally, Nanda Maharaj told Krishna, Rohini reminded Krishna, "Look, Krishna," by this time it was evening, Jiva Goswami describes. All day long this thing is going on. Big drama. So by the end of the day, Rohini is really worried because why? Her prana sakhi Yashoda has not eaten anything all day. She's so upset. When she heard about these trees, she was afraid to come out of the house. She had not seen Nanda Maharaj. There were a few of her friends were still with her, but she was not coming out. She was, feeling guilty that maybe I made a mistake. All parents, they all have the same. Here it's perverted reflection, but the rasa is there. So she wouldn't come out of the house. And finally Rohini told Krishna, "Look, Krishna, Mother Yashoda hasn't eaten anything. What will happen?" And then Nanda Maharaj was thinking, he also said, "Krishna, what will happen to your mother if she doesn't eat?" And then Krishna realized, because Nanda was hinting that if you don't eat, you'll die. Then Krishna, he became very serious, and he said, "Okay, I'm going." He went back to his mother, and he jumped into her lap, and he hugged her, squeezed very tight, and she did likewise, and both of them were crying. And the drama was resolved for the day. But nobody ever forgot this incident, and we're still talking about it in 2018. How many years later? Thousands of years later. So this is Krishna's Leela. Iti driksva leelabhirananda kunde sughosham nimajjantam akyapayantam ityadi. Tadiyeshitagneshu bhaktairjitatvam puna prematastam shatavritti vande. More than hundreds of obeisances I am offering out of love, thinking about these things. We should come to this stage. Satyavrata Muni is praying like that. Okay, so Nanda Maharaj, he immediately released Krishna from the ropes. In this way, Krishna, at every day and every moment, displayed wonderful incidents to increase the parental affection of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, who thus felt both surprise and joy. They think that it's because they're worshipping Lakshmi Narayana very nicely that Krishna keeps being saved. This is their conception. So the breaking of the Yamala-Arjuna trees was one of these wonderful pastimes. One day, a fruit vendor approached Nanda Maharaj's house, and Krishna gathered some food grains with his little palms. And he went to the vendor to exchange the grains for fruit. On the way, almost all the grains fell from his palms, only 1 or 2 grains remaining. But the fruit vendor, out of full affection, accepted these grains in exchange for as much fruit as Krishna could take. As soon as she did this, her basket became filled with gold and jewels. If you give to Krishna even a little bit, you don't lose anything. Thereafter, all the elderly Gopas decided to leave Gokula because they saw that in Gokula there was always some disturbance. If we've read the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, we know that there's a chapter there, I think it's chapter 25, about the workings of the three modes of material nature. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and other acharyas, they comment that it's important for us to study the workings of the three modes of material nature, because unless we understand how these modes impact us, then even if we have theoretical knowledge that we're separate from our body, then we can't really transcend their influence. We cannot overcome the dehadhyasa, he calls it, the superimposition of this bodily conception of life. We cannot overcome it. And one of the things that Krishna mentions there in that chapter is that the three modes of material nature, they work on virtually everything within human experience. Time is influenced by the three modes of material nature. How is that? That's right. Sattva-guna is prominent in the morning, Rajoguna during the day, Tamoguna at night. Place is also infected by these modes of material nature. How's that? Vanam tu sattviko vaso. To live in the forest, that is a sattvic residence. Rajaso, what is it? Vanam tu sattviko vaso. Gramo rajasa uchyate. Any city, even village, is to some degree passionate. What to speak of these hyper, mega, super, Mahanagar cities? They're full of passion and worse. Tamasam dyuta sadanam. We have enough of those here. Gambling casinos. When we were on the way to Sacramento, I saw the ads already for Tahoe. Every Indian goes to Las Vegas when they come to America. It's right up there with Niagara Falls. I'm not going to ask for a show of hands. But sure enough, just as every Telugu in North America has gone to Chilakuru and worship Visa Balaji, so once they get here, they'll go straight to Tahoe, or they'll go straight to Las Vegas or Niagara Falls, something like that. So this is tamasam. To reside in such a place is a tamasic environment. Parantu mandiketam tu nirgunam. Krishna says, where I live, that place is transcendental. So place is infected by the modes. All right, so the Brajavasis, they're thinking maybe there's something with this place, Gokula. Maybe we should leave Gokula. They didn't know. They thought that this is all happening as a result of some inauspicious influence. They have no idea that this is all carefully arranged by Krishna himself via his Yogamaya potency, just for enjoyment, just to drown them in the ecstasy of parental rasa. Ecstasy? It looks like a lot of anxiety. And Prabhupada actually writes this. Mother Yashoda, raise your hand if you've been to Gokula. Anyone? Some. In Gokula, there's a place, an old Shiva temple called Chintaharana Mahadeva. Anyone recognize? You've been there? Nobody remembers. Not far from the bank of Brahmana Ghat. Mother Yashoda was worshipping Lord Shiva in this place. Why? Well, the name suggests, Chintaharana Mahadev. She was overwhelmed with chinta at every moment. Chinta. We're also overwhelmed with chinta, but our chinta is different than that chinta. Chinta means anxiety. Once on a wall I saw somebody had written, the Brajavasis are very Krishna conscious. It comes out in unexpected ways. One of my godbrothers went to buy a fan in Vrindavan, Usha fan. So he wanted to install the fan in his ashram. So there were two kinds. One had a 7-year guarantee, one had a 5-year guarantee. The customer in front of him bought the 7-year wala. So he decided, yeah, I'll take that one also. And then the shopkeeper said, no, I'm sorry, that was the last one. By this time, my godbrother's mind had become attached to the idea of getting the 7-year guarantee wala fan. So he said, well, can you maybe order it from Mathura or something? And Brajavasi, in characteristic manner, he said, Are, you don't even know if you have 5 or 7 minutes left. What are you worrying about 5 or 7 hours? Years. In Madan Mohan temple, I saw they had a clock. Sometimes you see these clocks with the pendulum swinging back and forth. So they had attached the entire face of the clock to the pendulum so that the face of the clock also goes back and forth like this. And on the face of the clock there was Krishna's face only, and his body was illustrated below. So he's sitting there and he's holding a ball of butter and going like this. Sir hilate hue. So anyway, once on the wall I saw it was written in Vrindavan, Chinta mat kara, chintana kijiye. Those who understand Hindi means don't be in anxiety, instead meditate on Krishna. That's a play on words. So she was in anxiety all the time. She thought it was mundane anxiety, but we know. We enjoy more than her. We understand that this is going on. We can relish this irony of, woman with stick chases God. So she was constantly in anxiety that Krishna can be, why did they want to give him shoes? Because he might step on some thorns, he may stub his toe on some rocks, there may be some, something there, scorpions, so many things. So she's constantly in anxiety, but that anxiety is Vaikuntha anxiety. Someone once said, one saintly person said, if you want peace, spiritual peace, then worship Lakshmi Narayana. If you want bliss, then worship Radha Krishna. The implication is that you'll get bliss, but probably not peace. Goloka Vrindavan is full of this spiritual anxiety, at least, especially for the parents, I think. But it would seem as if the gopis are not suffering less. In fact, probably more. Especially after Krishna goes away to Mathura, it appears as if they're suffering too much. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains, Srila Prabhupada also explains about this. It's like trying to fit an elephant onto a paper plate. We don't have the capacity, really, to imagine these things very much in our immature state. Or it's like trying to explain sex desire to a 3-year-old child. They don't have they can't understand it. You see? So it looks to us like it's intense suffering in the spiritual world, and we've mentioned Mother Yashoda also feels that it's suffering, and they'll never call it anything except for suffering. But in fact, it's not suffering, it is Paramananda. How does that work? He gives the example, dry ice. Dry ice. It's frozen, correct? What happens if you touch it to your skin and hold it there for a few moments? You get burned. How can something very cold burn you? But it can happen, you see. So Krishna's leelas, they're a little bit like this. Crude example he gives. Or Srila Prabhupada also said, Krishna consciousness is like, any Bengalis here? Shamalangi. Yeah, so, they make this chutney out of tomatoes, very sweet and very hot at the same time. So Prabhupada said that Krishna consciousness is like that. It's so sweet that you can't resist it, but it's so hot that you can't stand it sometimes. So, anyway, this is the nature of Krishna's leelas. And it's the greatest mercy, actually. We mentioned this the other day, I think. Nemam virinchina bhavo nashriyarapi anga sangshriya prasadam lebhire gopi yettat prapi vimuktidat. Vimuktida, that means Mukunda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead who awards liberation. He gave the greatest benefit to Yashoda. Benefit that was not received even by Brahma, even by Shiva. Not even by Lakshmi Narayana. She's his wife. She didn't know the great bliss that Mother Yashoda was feeling. That bliss puts the bliss of Brahmananda, spiritual self-realization, the bliss of self-realization, it makes it paltry by comparison. It makes it paltry. Moksha laghuta krita, he's described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It minimizes the value of liberation. So all of his pastimes are performed like this. So they decided to go to Vrindavan, Vrajatham. And the next day they all departed. In Vrindavan, both Krishna and Balaram, after finishing their childhood pastimes, began to take charge of the calves and send them to the pasturing grounds, Gocharana. What is this day called? We celebrate it on our calendar. Kam se kam Vrindavan mein manate hain, Gopashtami. When Krishna becomes a full-fledged Gopa. He's not just a baby anymore. And then he feels important. This Braj poet named Surdas, he sings, Do bhaiya maiya pe mangata dei dei makhana roti. What does it mean? Both the brothers, Hari and Haladhara, together, they're begging from Mother Yashoda, give us roti. Why do they want roti? Generally, in the morning when we offer Mangalarati, you offer milk sweets, no? So what is that offering called? Anybody know? Balya Bhog. Why is it called Balya Bhog? Because these foods are suitable for little babies. Little soft, milky things that you don't require teeth. Even. So Krishna and Balaram, they're sick of that. They want to be grown-ups. They want to eat grown-up food. So in the same way, when they go out it makes them feel like they're more important than they actually are. This is another aspect of Yoga Maya. Krishna doesn't feel himself to be very important, and even his closest devotees, they also don't feel that he's very important. We feel that he's very important. Or actually, we don't feel that he's very important. But that's another kind of Maya, you see? In the spiritual world, you have to convince them all that Krishna is God. They don't believe it. And also in the material world, you also have to convince them all that he's God. But it's for different reasons, antithetical reasons. Here it's because we're envious rascals, monkeys, real monkeys. And there it's because they're highly exalted. They're beyond Brahmananda. They're beyond self-realization, far beyond yoga practice, everything. Whatever result is there by performing pious activities, by realizing the Vedanta, by engaging in tapasya for so many years on end, for gaining so many yogic siddhis, all those things the Vrajavasis have surpassed them long ago. They're not of any importance. As we said already, moksha lakhuta krita. It minimizes. Okay. So they thought that if they go to Vrindavan, then they can avoid disturbance. And at that time, Krishna was getting a little bit older, around 4 or 5 years old. Then they took him to Vrindavan. So they were doing Gocharana. In fact, one of the places where they went for Gocharana, I used to live there, is Atulachungi. That is the place where Krishna was begging from the Brahmins' wives. Somebody wanted to hear, so now I can mention that. Okay, so during this time, a demon named Vatsasura entered among the calves and was killed. Calves. Because they were only taking care of the calves. They were not big enough to take care of cows yet. What did they do? They would pull on the calves' tails and go for a ride. But she was careful that nowhere near the bulls are they allowed. And even the big cows, they're not allowed. But they could take care of the calves. Another asura in the shape of a big duck was also killed. Big duck. Who is that? The brother of Putana. She's called Baki, he's called Baka. Oho Baki yam stana kalakutam jighansaya payayadapi asadhui lebhe gatim dhatri uchitam tatonyam kamva dayalam sharanam vrajema. To whom shall I go who's more merciful than this Krishna? He's asking this question. Why is he more merciful? She came to kill him. And yet he gave her not only liberation, generally when they are liberated, the demons, what happens? They merge. But in this case, he gave her a position in Goloka Vrindavan. Dhatri uchitam tatonyam. Or at least in Gokula Vrindavan. You see? That's very special. Vimukti. Vimukti. Vishesh mukti. Vimukti means Vishesh mukti. It's a special kind of, it's liberation to hai, it's a special kind of liberation. Okay. Big duck was also killed. In Mathura at Vishram Ghat, how many people have been to Vishranti Ghat in Mathura? Main bathing ghat in Mathura. So right on the bank of the Yamuna, there's an old temple of Yami. You can guess who is that? Brother and sister. Yami. Who's Yami? No. Yamuna. Yama is Yamaraj. They're also brother and sister. So, like that. Baka Baki. Okay. North Indians know about Bhayaduj. Yamadvitiya, it's called in high language. So, that comes from that event, actually. It's Yamaraj also, he decided when he was a child, he decided he would run away from home. We have a lot of runaways today. Why? Because Surya Bhagavan is, he's very exalted demigod, but kind of hard to live with him. His wife had a hard time seeing him because he's so bright. She just is like, even sunglasses don't help. So she decided that, I just need a break for some time. So she invented a facsimile of herself, and that facsimile is called Taya, shadow. So she decided to make a carbon copy of herself, and she told her everything what you need to be doing, and everything will be okay as long as you pretend that you're me. So then she went to her father's house for some time. This is what they do when they're mad at their husbands. They go to their father's house. So she went away, and the children could understand that there's something different now. Mata is treating us different than she used to. There's something not right here, because children can detect this. So Yamaraj in particular, he got angry. He figured out that this is some kind of trick. It's not our real mother. So he ran away from home. And Yamuna got upset because Yamaraj ran away from home. So Yamuna also said, Yamunaji also was looking everywhere for Yamaraj. She couldn't find him. And she sent out search parties in all directions. Nobody could find, where's Yamaraj? Finally, they found out, where is he? He's at Mathura near Vishram Ghat. So Yamuna came there, close to home. And she begged him to come back. He still wasn't willing to come back. So then she went and cooked him a big feast, and she pleased him very nicely by her seva. And, the best way to a man's heart is through his stomach. So he was happy, and he offered her a benediction. She said, I want the benediction that you come home, and furthermore, that anybody who bathes in my waters today, then they will not have to go to your place. Actually, it's a fact. Rupa Goswami has prayed to Yamuna like this. Bhratur antakasya pattane bhipatti harini. Bhratur antakasya pattane abhipatti harini. She removes the calamity of having to visit her brother's capital city, Yamaraj's abode. Many, many other things he says about Yamuna. We don't have time to dilate because it's getting late. But so she fed him nicely, and he said, wait a minute. If everybody who bathes in your water on today goes back, then who's going to come here for me? What am I going to do? You're flowing all the way from Himalayas to the Bay of Bengal, practically speaking, at least up to Prayag. So she said, all right, then anybody bathes here on this day at Vishram Ghat, then they'll not have to see you again. So think about it. If you're in Vrindavan, in the vicinity of around Bhayaduj, then definitely make it a point. You should bathe in Yamuna at that place at that time. Okay, so the mothers, the playmates of Krishna narrated all these stories to their mothers, and the mothers never believed them. Sometimes they saw things happening. They weren't sure if it's a ghost or maybe that's, somehow Narayan keeps saving them. But they don't, certainly the last person you're going to believe is some small child. They're only 3-4 years old. Who puts any credence in anything they say? Nobody believed them. The mothers could not believe their children, Krishna's playmates, but because of full affection, they enjoyed these narrations of Krishna's activities, and that is the whole point. That is why Krishna arranges these pastimes, only to give his devotees such pleasure. They have no idea what he's doing. We never have any idea what he's doing. This is good management. They always keep the underlings in the dark. Okay, so that's Prabhupada's chapter summary. We haven't gotten very far, have we? We'll begin with text number 1. Shukdev Goswami continued, O Maharaj Parikshit, when the Yamala Arjuna trees fell, all the cowherd men in the neighborhood, hearing the fierce sound and fearing that thunderbolts, they went to the spot. Ajiv Goswami describes that only the deaf in Vrindavan didn't hear this. It was so frightening sound. There they saw the fallen Yamala Arjuna trees on the ground, but they were bewildered because even though they could directly perceive that the trees had fallen, they could not trace out the cause for their having done so. Purport. Considering all the circumstances, had this been done by Krishna? He was standing on the spot, and his playmates described that this had been done by him. Had Krishna actually done this? Or were they merely stories? This is a cause for bewilderment. Krishna was bound by the rope to the ulukala, the mortar, which he was dragging. But how could he have pulled down the trees? Who had actually done it? Where was the source for this incident? Considering all these astounding things, the cowherd men were doubtful and bewildered. Purport. The cowherd men were very much agitated because the child Krishna, after all, had been standing between the two trees. And if by chance the trees had fallen upon him, he would have been smashed. This is their conception. But he was standing as he was, and still the things had happened. So who had done it? Who had done all this? How could these events have happened in such a wonderful way? These considerations were some of the reasons why they were agitated and bewildered. They thought, however, that by chance Krishna had been saved by God, so that nothing had happened to him. Then all the cowherd boys said, it is Krishna who has done this. When he was between the two trees, the mortar fell crosswise. Krishna dragged the mortar, and the two trees fell down. After that, two beautiful men came out of the trees. We have seen this with our own eyes. Purport. Krishna's playmates wanted to inform Krishna's father of the exact situation by explaining that not only did the trees break, but out of the broken trees came two beautiful men. All these things happened, they said. We've seen them with our own eyes. Because of intense paternal affection, the cowherd men, headed by Nanda, could not believe that Krishna could have uprooted the trees in such a wonderful way. Therefore, they could not put their faith in the words of the boys. Some of the men, however, were in doubt. Well, since Krishna was predicted to equal Narayan, they thought it might be that he could have done it. This also is to increase the rasa, to increase the doubt, just to increase the agitation of the devotees' minds. If you don't like being agitated, you better go, because there's only agitation coming when you chant Hare Krishna. Purport. One view was that it is impossible for a small boy like this to have done such a thing as pulling down the trees. How old was Krishna? Not even 5, not even 3. He was very young. He was an infant, Shishu. So the men were in a dilemma. When Nanda Maharaj saw his own son bound with ropes to the wooden mortar and dragging it, he smiled and released Krishna from his bonds. Nanda Maharaj was surprised that Yashoda, Krishna's mother, could have bound her beloved child in such a way. Then this is why Yashoda's in the house, not eating. She knew that maybe I went too far this time. In modern parlance, we call this child abuse. She was afraid, maybe they'll send the CPO out to get me or something. So, but at the same time, she was concerned because she didn't want him to try to run away from home. So it was for his safety, but it was also to keep him, it was the best she could come up with. And she was inspired by Yogamaya, but she didn't know this. And Nanda Maharaj also didn't know this. Because without this kind of divine ignorance, there's no question of increasing the bliss of the Leela. Okay. Prabhupada elsewhere in the last chapter when this is described, he says that the boys they're very confidently assured, all the elder men, that it was Krishna who did this. And Prabhupada says, quote, "There was no doubt about it." End quote. Okay, changing scene now. Gopi bhi stobhito nrityad bhagavan balavat kvachit udgayati kvachin mugdhas tadvasho daru yantravat. The gopis would say, "If you dance, my dear Krishna, then I shall give you half a sweetmeat." By saying these words, or by clapping their hands, all the gopis encouraged Krishna in different ways. At such times, although he was the supremely powerful personality of Godhead, he would smile and dance according to their desire, as if he were a wooden doll in their hands. Sometimes he would sing very loudly at their bidding. You picture this? Krishna singing very loudly. Bill Mangala Thakur writes a verse. What is that? He says that Krishna is in the middle of a nipa grove. Nipa, I think, what kind of tree is nipa? I think it's maybe a kadam tree. And he's holding foodstuffs in his hand, and he's humming softly to himself. You can picture this. Little boy wandering in the forest, humming to himself and playing, totally satisfied. No responsibility, nothing serious to do. This is what they do. Okay, so Krishna likewise, when the gopis would instruct him, they would say, "Krishna, touch your nose," and he'll do this. "Krishna, touch your ears," he'll do it. Anything they say, he'll do it, just to please them. This is called mugdha. Mugdha is an innocent, bhola bhala child. Tadvasho, under their control, Krishna would sing with Gayati, Daru Yantravat, just like a puppet in their hands. And Stobhita, he was flattered by the gopis. He was praised by the gopis. That encourages him when you praise him. Okay, then sometimes, I'll read the Sanskrit, this is nice. Bibharti kvachid agnyaptaha pitakonmana padukam bahuksheptam chakurute swanam chapritimavahan. Sometimes Yashoda and her gopi friends would tell Krishna, "Bring this article," or "Bring that article." Sometimes they would order him to bring a wooden plank, or wooden shoes, or a wooden measuring pod, and Krishna, when thus ordered by the mothers, would try to bring them. Sometimes, however, as if unable to raise these things, he would touch them and stand there, and then look at his parents. Just to invite the pleasure of his relatives, he would strike his body with his arms to show that he had sufficient strength. Darshayans tadvidam loka atmano bhritya vashyatam vrajasyo vahavai harsham bhagavan balacheshtitaihi. To pure devotees throughout the world who could understand his activities, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna exhibited how much he can be subdued by his devotees, his servants. In this way he increased the pleasure of the Vrajavasis by his childhood pastimes. Therefore we say Param Vijaya. What does Param Vijaya mean? You can interpret it in two ways. You can take Param as an adverb, means be supremely victorious, or you can take Param as a noun. You conquer the Supreme. Through bhakti he can be, we've already decided. Bhaktar jitatvam, he's saying. Tadiyesh dagnyeshu bhaktar jitatvam. So here it says also, it bears repeating, to pure devotees throughout the world. That means in Silicon Valley also, who can understand his activities. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, exhibited how much he can be subdued by his devotees. You can conquer him like this. You can do it. His servants. In this way, he increased the pleasure of the Vrajavasis by his childhood activities. Purport. That Krishna performed childhood activities to increase the pleasure of his devotees was another transcendental humor. He exhibited these activities not only to the inhabitants of Brajabhumi, but also to others who were captivated by his external potency and opulence. We're in that category, aren't we? We're captivated by the Lord's external energy, but we also are captivated by Krishna's pastimes. Nahito, we wouldn't be sitting here today. So we have some work to do. But Krishna is ready. Both the internal devotees, who were simply absorbed in love of Krishna, and the external devotees, who were captivated by his unlimited potency, were informed of Krishna's desire to be submissive to his servants. This is the same point again. There's only one point here. Tadiyeshita gneshu bhakterjitatvam. My servants, I am conquered by them. Not servants. Service is too formal. Those who love me, I am conquered by that. When we become vivasha and chant the holy name in that mood, Krishna also becomes vivasha. Once a woman selling fruit was calling, "O Brajvasis, inhabitants of Brajabhumi, if you want to purchase some fruits, come here." Upon hearing this, Krishna immediately took some grains and went to barter, as if he needed some fruits. So Krishna had seen this. He'd seen his parents do this, so he decided to try it himself. While Krishna, that just goes to show parents, they don't follow what you do, they don't follow what you say, they follow what you do. While Krishna was going to the fruit vendor very hastily, most of the grains that he was holding fell. Nonetheless, the fruit vendor filled Krishna's hands with fruits, and her fruit basket was immediately filled with jewels and gold. Prabhupada writes, with love and affection, one should try to give something to Krishna from one's source of income. Then one's life will be successful. Krishna is full in all opulences. He does not need anything from anyone. But if one is prepared to give something to Krishna, that is for one's own benefit. The example given in this connection is that when one's real face is decorated, the reflection of one's face is automatically decorated. Similarly, if we try to serve Krishna with all our opulences, we, as parts and parcels or reflections of Krishna, will become happy in exchange. Krishna is always happy, for he is Atma Rama, fully satisfied with his own opulence. We go through life accumulating so much assets, and we hide it away as if we could keep it forever. What is the verse? Dhanani bhumao, your money stays in the bank. Pashavashta goshthe, your car stays in your garage. Nari grihadvare, your wife will come as far as the door to your house. Janasmashane, your friends and relatives will come to your funeral. Dehaschitayam, your body will go as far as the chitta, to be burned. Paraloka marge, karmanugo, gachati jiva eka. Akhira akela jana padega. Everybody has to go on alone. So what is the point? Better you take whatever is given to you in this life and give it back to Bhagavan and try to establish this relationship with him. Then at the time of death, Shankaracharya says, what is that verse? Bhagavad Gita kinchiradhita ganga jalalava karnika pita sakrirapi ena murari samarcha. If you try to worship him nicely, even once, kriyate yasya yamena nacharcha. You don't have to have the interview with Yamaraj. We were discussing. Just like when you bathe in Yamuna, Vishram Ghat. Same. You're freed from that. So this is, it's going to be taken away anyway. Mrityu sarvaharashaham, he says in Bhagavad Gita. I take everything in the form of death. So we are, just like the gopis, they're accumulating so much butter. We're also accumulating so much butter, so to speak. So we'll be fortunate if Krishna steals it. But even more fortunate if we give it to him before. Because he's not going to steal it directly unless you're a devotee. He doesn't want it. He wants, what is the verse Prabhupada quotes here? Patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tad aham bhakti upahritam ashnami priyatatmanaham. When you offer something with love, then he wants to eat it. How much so? Nanopachara krita pujanam artha bandho. When we are very concerned that Krishna eats what we offer him, commensurately his hunger will increase. If we don't really care, we just put something in the box, or we come to the temple and we give some mango or something, we don't even care to look at it. Is it a sour Mexican mango or is it a first-class mango? You see? Then he has the same attitude towards us. Yeyatha mam prapadyante tanstateva bhajami. But if we come and say, Krishna, I tried to find the best mango that I could find in all of Silicon Valley. Now please, even though I'm such a fallen rascal, you please take this little offering. Srila Prabhupada is telling us this. As he spoke, he began to cry because it meant so much to him. When we really feel strongly like this, that Krishna, please eat something, then Krishna becomes, oh, I have to have that mango right now. He can't wait. So there are many stories like this. He'll come into the kitchen to get something before it's even done yet. Because the bhakti is that strong. So we can pray like this, Rupa Goswami says, just like the Brajvasis. Okay. Once after uprooting the Yamala Arjuna trees, Rohini Devi went to call Rama and Krishna, who had both gone to the riverside and were playing with the other boys with deep attention. They were playing with deep attention. Mother Yashoda was more attached to Krishna and Balaram than Rohini Devi was, although Rohini Devi was the mother of Balaram. Mother Yashoda sent Rohini Devi to call Rama and Krishna from their play, since it was the right time for lunch. Therefore, Rohini Devi went to call them, breaking their engagement in play. As we described already, sometimes when Mother Yashoda has a hard time getting them to listen, she sends Rohini, and then they know that means business. Because of being too attached to playing with the other boys, Krishna and Balaram did not return upon being called by Rohini. Therefore, Rohini sent Mother Yashoda to call them back, because Mother Yashoda was more affectionate to Krishna and Balaram. Purport, Yashodam preshayam asa. These very words show that since Krishna and Balaram did not care to return in response to the order of Rohini, Rohini thought that if Yashoda called them, they would have to return, for Yashoda was more affectionate. So it works both ways. Krishna and Balaram, being attached to their play, were playing with the other boys, although it was very late. Therefore, Mother Yashoda called them back for lunch. Because of her ecstatic love and affection for Krishna and Balaram, milk flowed from her breasts. This is real love. This is real love. As soon as she sees the boys, her breasts start flowing with milk out of love. Cows also. When Krishna became the cows for 1 year, same thing. The cows were in the same ecstasy. Purport, the word ajohavit means calling them again and again. Krishna and Balaram, she called, please come back. You're late for your lunch. You have played sufficiently. Come back. Nanda Maharaj had to eat. This is also described, this pastime is described by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Raj Bhogarati song. Same thing. Bela halo damodara ISKCON. So, Mother Yashoda said, my dear son Krishna, lotus-eyed Krishna, please come here and drink the milk of my breast. My dear darling, you must be very tired because of hunger and the fatigue of playing so long. There's no need to play anymore. This is an empty argument, isn't it? There's no need to play. It's not necessary to play. There's no appeal of this argument to a child's mind. My dear Baladev, best of our family, please come immediately with your younger brother, Krishna. You both ate in the morning, and now you ought to eat something more. Because Balaram is older. If Bade comes, then Krishna will have to come also. Nanda Maharaj, the king of Raja, is now waiting to eat. Oh, my dear son Balaram, he's waiting for you. Therefore come back to please us. All the boys playing with you and Krishna should now go to their homes. Purport, it appears that Nanda Maharaj regularly took his food with his two sons, Krishna and Balaram. Yashoda told the other boys, now you should go to your homes. Father and son generally sit together, so Mother Yashoda requested Krishna and Balaram to return, and she advised the other boys to go home so that their parents would not have to wait for them. Dhuli dhusaritangas tvam putra majjanamavaha janmarksham tedya bhavati viprebhyo dehi gah shuchihi. Mother Yashoda further told Krishna, my dear son, because of playing all day, your body has become covered with dust and sand. Therefore come back, take your bath, and cleanse yourself. Today the moon is conjoined with the auspicious star of your birth. Therefore be pure and give cows in charity to the Brahmanas. Prabhupada writes, to observe one's birthday ceremony, one should do something in terms of one of these three items, yajna, dana, or tapa, or all three of them together. And the best yajna, the best dana, the best tapa, what is it? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Just see how all your playmates of your own age have been cleansed and decorated with beautiful ornaments by their mothers. You should come here, and after you've taken your bath, eaten your lunch, and been decorated with ornaments, you may play with your friends again. Purport. Generally, young boys are competitive. If one friend has done something, another friend also wants to do something. Therefore, Mother Yashoda pointed out how Krishna's playmates were decorated so that Krishna might be induced to decorate himself like them. Dekho mere lala aur sab balaka ghar mein te kaise bani avata. Surdas ne kaha. Okay, so I remember I went to this temple of Krishna Balaram in Nandagaon. Anybody been to the top of the hill in Nandagaon? There's Krishna Balaram temple. What do they look like? It looks like two Krishnas standing next to each other. Both black, both flutes, both exactly everything. Sab kuch ek se hain. So I asked the pujari, why, you know, they look exactly alike. Everything, down to every detail, everything is exactly the same. Well, why you do like this? Well, this is Balaram or this is Krishna? He said, no, this is Krishna and Balaram. Why you put them everything the same thing? He said, if I don't give them everything exactly the same, they fight. This is how the Brajvasis think. Ittam yashodatam ashesha shekharam madvasatam sneha nibaddhadhir nripa haste grihitva saharama matchatam Nitva Savatam Kritavat Yadhodayam. My dear Maharaj Parikshit, hey. Because of intense love and affection, Mother Yashoda, Krishna's mother, considered Krishna, who was at the peak of all opulences, to be her own son. Thus she took Krishna by the hand, along with Balaram, and brought them home, where she performed her duties by fully bathing them, dressing them, and feeding them. Purport. Krishna is always neat, clean, and opulent, and does not need to be washed, bathed, or dressed. Yet, Mother Yashoda, because of affection, considered him her ordinary child and did her duties to keep her son brilliant. Pujaris also have this, they have to share this responsibility. Banshi Vadana Suvasa. He's called Suvasa, and pujaris have to make sure that they maintain this in assistance to Krishna's real devotees. Shukdev Goswami continued, then, one time, having seen the great disturbances in Vrindavan, all the elderly persons among the cowherd men, headed by Nanda Maharaj, assembled and began to consider what to do to stop the continuous disturbing situations in Vraja. At this meeting of all the inhabitants of Gokula, a cowherd man named Upananda, who was most mature in age and knowledge, and was very experienced according to times, circumstances, and country, made this suggestion for the benefit of Ramakrishna. Who is Upananda? Yeah, his brother, Nanda Upananda. He said, my dear friends and the cowherd men, in order to do good to this place, Gokula, we should leave it, because so many disturbances are always occurring here. just for the purpose of killing Rama and Krishna. The child Krishna, simply by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was somehow or other rescued from the hands of the Rakshasi Putana, who was determined to kill him. Then again, by the mercy of the Supreme Godhead, the handcart missed falling upon the child. We didn't even have time to talk about that one. Then again, the demon Trinavarta, in the form of the whirlwind, took the child away into the dangerous sky to kill him. But the demon fell down onto a slab of stone. In that case also, by the mercy of Lord Vishnu or his associates, the child was saved. Can you imagine this? Now you understand why Yashoda is worshipping Chintaharan Mahadev. Your child is suddenly swept up hundreds of feet into the sky and spinning wildly. What are you going to do? And you feel this guilt that you put him out there under the blanket. You know? This is intensity. Even the other day, neither Krishna nor any of his playmates died from the falling of the two trees, although the children were near the trees, or even between them. This also has to be considered the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the wisdom of Upananda by the mercy of Yoga Maya. All these incidents are being caused by some unknown demon. Before he comes here to create another disturbance, it is our duty to go somewhere else with the boys until there are no more disturbances. Purport. Upananda suggested, by the mercy of Lord Vishnu, Krishna has always been saved from so many dangerous incidents. Now, let us leave this place and go someplace where we may worship Lord Vishnu undisturbed, before there's another cause of death from some demon who may attack us. A devotee desires only that he may execute devotional service undisturbed. Actually, we see, however, that even during the presence of Krishna, when Nanda Maharaj and the other cowherd men had the Supreme Personality of Godhead in their presence, there were disturbances. Of course, in every case, Krishna came out victorious. Every case, every last one. This is God. The instruction we may derive from this is that we should not be disturbed by so-called disturbances. There have been so many disturbances to our Krishna consciousness movement, but we cannot give up our forward march. On the contrary, people are receiving this movement very enthusiastically all over the world. They are purchasing literature about Krishna consciousness with redoubled energy. When Srila Prabhupada wrote this, in 1977 or so, at that time, book distribution was doubling every year. Double what was done in 1974, they did in 1975. In 1976, they doubled 1975. In 1977, they doubled 1976. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada writes this. You can see why he says these purports are his devotional ecstasies. You can see it so clearly. Here his mind is never very far from the Sankirtana movement. Even in the midst of discussing Krishna's most intimate pastimes with his beloved associates, his transcendental leelas, still Srila Prabhupada is thinking about the forward march of the Krishna consciousness movement and how people are receiving this movement very enthusiastically. Just last night, maybe how many people? 40, 50 people received this movement very enthusiastically. When I entered the room, I was greeted by so many cold, critical, skeptical stares. Hardcore non-devotees. And by the end, everyone was taking prasadam happily and talking about Krishna. So we have to just push on despite all obstacles, despite all disturbances. This is at Stanford University. And we have to carry on, and because this is Krishna's pastime, actually, Mahaprabhu Leela, it will be victorious, always victorious. Therefore we say, as we mentioned earlier, Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtana. When you conquer Krishna with your love, then your Sankirtan will also conquer everyone else. This is how it works. Disham Amangalam, all the inauspicious things are destroyed. And Prabhupada said here, thus there are both encouragements and disturbances. This was so, even in Krishna's time. So we shouldn't get disturbed by disturbances. Vanam Vrindavanam nama pashavyam navakananam gopi gopa gavam sevyam Punyadri Tranavirudham. What is Punyadri? Pious mountain? Sounds like it. Let us see what he says. Between Nandishwara and Madhavan is a place named Vrindavana. This place is very suitable because it is lush with grass, plants, and creepers for the cows and other animals. It has nice gardens and tall mountains and is full of facilities for the happiness of all the gopas and gopis and our animals. Purport. Vrindavana is situated between Nandishwara and Madhavan. Formerly the cowherd men had shifted to Madhavan, but still there were disturbances. Therefore the cowherd men selected Vrindavan, which was between the two villages, and decided to go there. Therefore, let us immediately go, today. There is no need to wait any further. If you agree to my proposal, let us all prepare all the bullock carts and put the cows in front of us, and let us go there. Upon hearing this advice from Upananda, the cowherd men unanimously agreed. Very nice, they said, very nice. Thus they sorted out their household affairs, placed their clothing and other paraphernalia on the carts, and immediately started for Vrindavan. We were discussing how to live simply and think highly last night. Somebody asked this question, one Chinese woman, and she said, it's so hard. She said, sometimes, we spend hours in front of the mirror adjusting the cosmetics and so many things, so many anarthas. Here we see in this example of the cowherd men and women of Vrindavan, Gokula, on a moment's notice, they were able to pack up everything they owned and go. Something to think about. We can always simplify our lives. Keeping all the old men, women, and children and household paraphernalia on bullock carts, and keeping all the cows in front, the cowherd men picked up their bows and arrows with great care and sounded bugles made of horn. O King Parikshit, in this way, the bugles vibrating all around, the cowherd men, accompanied by their priests, began the journey. Purport. In this connection, it is to be noted that although the inhabitants of Gokula were mostly cowherd men and cultivators, they knew how to defend themselves from danger and how to give protection to the women, old men, cows, and children, as well as to the Brahminical Purohitas. Five kinds of living beings in society, human society. They always require protection because they're always dependent. Who are they? Old people. Now we put them away in old age homes. Not a good idea. They always get abused. Young children, we have to watch them carefully. Women, the brahmanas, and this is the problem with America. No cows. Every day in India I'm feeding cows, especially Braj ki gai. And anywhere I go, in India still it can be done unless you go to Noida or Gurgaon and parts of Chennai. There they make sure that there are no cows. This is a fallen condition. Cows are the beginning of all auspiciousness. In America, there are no cows. People are taking so many vegetable peels every day. The cows are outside eating garbage, and people are throwing this in the garbage also. It rots there uselessly. They're not thinking. If we had cows, then they would be very happy with all these things. And there's no garbage also. Anyway, there's a lot of work to do in that connection. The cowherd women riding on the bullock carts were dressed very nicely with excellent garments, and their bodies, especially their breasts, were decorated with fresh kumkum powder. As they rode, they began to chant with great pleasure the pastimes of Krishna. No matter what they're doing, the women always take care to look nice. Thus, hearing about the pastimes of Krishna and Balaram with great pleasure, Mother Yashoda and Rohini Devi, so as not to be separated from Krishna and Balaram for even a moment, got up with them on one bullock cart. In this situation, they all looked very beautiful. Purport. It appears that Mother Yashoda and Rohini could not be separated from Krishna and Balaram even for a moment. They used to pass their time either by taking care of Krishna and Balaram or by chanting about their pastimes. Thus, Mother Yashoda and Rohini looked very beautiful. In this way they entered Vrindavan, where it is always pleasing to live in all seasons. They made a temporary place to inhabit by placing their bullock carts around them in the shape of a half moon. O King Parikshit, the famous verse, Vrindavanam Govardhanam Yamuna Pulinani cha Vikshyasid Uttama Priti Rama Madhavayo Nrpa. O King Parikshit, when Ramakrishna saw Vrindavan, Govardhan, and the banks of Yamuna, they both enjoyed great pleasure. These things are eternally dear to Krishna and Balaram. Yamuna, Vrindavana, and Govardhana. In this way, Krishna and Balaram, acting like small boys and talking in half-broken language, gave transcendental pleasure to all the inhabitants of Braja. In the due course of time, they became old enough to take care of the calves. Purport. I think we need to end now, but I'll read the purport. As soon as Krishna and Balaram were a little grown up, they were meant for taking care of the calves. Although born of a very well-to-do family, they still had to take care of the calves. This was the system of education. Those who were not born in Brahmana families were not meant for academic education. The Brahmanas were trained in literary, academic education. The Kshatris were trained to take care of the state, and the Vaishyas learned how to cultivate the land and take care of the cows and calves. There was no need to waste time going to school and be falsely educated and later increase the numbers of the unemployed. Everybody knows this now in America. You get laid off anytime, take your box and get out. You're locked out. It's amazing. This stuff never happened 40 years ago even. This is like a new scale of demoniac degradation. And no need to worry about this. If you keep your own cows, you grow your own food, everybody's happy. It's a misled civilization. Actually, 1/4 canto purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, the whole modern civilization requires to be thoroughly overhauled. This is a revolution meant to purify the impious lives of the world's misdirected civilization, wherein everybody's standing there with their box wondering what to do next. Krishna and Balaram taught us by their personal behavior. Krishna took care of the cows and played his flute, and Balaram took care of agricultural activities with a plow in his hand. Okay, I guess we should stop. Because, anyway, we have to stop. Any questions or any comments? Yes. Loudly, please.
Prabhu, it's interesting to see how Srila Prabhupada predicted the problem about unemployment way back in 77.
Yeah.
In modern day, even in India now, it's coming.
They're suffering so much.
They are trying to follow the same American culture. All these IT companies, take the box and leave. So
Jo kuch bhi the Americans karte hain na, they have to imitate. Monkey see, monkey do.
So Prabhupada is offering a very nice solution. If you don't have a job, don't worry. Put a farm and take care of the cows and live happily.
Yeah, and what the devotees have to do is go and preach to these farmers who are all killing themselves. Make them devotees. They already know what to do. They're eager for an alternative. You don't have to commit suicide. You just live an Indian life and be happy. The problem is, somebody asked me last night, these ideas are coming from India, but it seems like India, they're suffering so much and there's so much pollution. I said, you're 100% correct. Let them be Indians. Then everything works. You try to imitate this doomed paradigm that doesn't even work in America. That's why we're all exploiting the Indians now anyway, because we already burnt out all the Americans. There's nothing more to exploit here. You've got to find new markets overseas. And compete with China, who's doing the same thing. At least they're smart enough to see. I'm sorry, you're asking a question? Huh? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, simple living, high thinking. Srila Prabhupada actually said many times towards the end of his stay with us in this world that this is the next remaining half of his mission, is to develop this aspect. He was personally prepared, not prepared, he was on the way to America to visit this Gita Nagari farm community in Pennsylvania, and he wanted to personally show us exactly how to do this. Live simply, think highly, get off the grid, don't depend on other people financing your operation, become self-sufficient. Then you can think highly and you're unfazed. Otherwise, everybody, what happens? It's very, very tenuous, this whole sham of the pseudo-civilization that people depend on artificially. It's very, very artificial. And it cannot last, and it's already destroying the world in so many ways. It's this demographic transition paradigm that everyone envies and is fascinated by. It cannot be replicated. It's mathematically impossible. It's been decided by statistics that if everybody in the world lived like the Americans try to live, then it would require the extra resources of 5 more planets. So simple living, high thinking is the answer, and that's a hard pill to swallow once you've become a Nagarik or a Mahanagarik. It's very tough. Therefore, we have a lot to learn from farmers, and they deserve some respect as much as they're still able, especially those who are doing subsistence farming and natural farming. It's the best thing. Okay, anything else? Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the wonderful lecture. So this is about the song the Satyavrata Muni is praying, the Damodarastakam. Ashtakam. So it seems like he is praying with the mood of Vatsalya in the entire song, but at the end he says Namo Radhikaya Tvadiya Priyaya. So what is the mood he is praying to the Lord?
Sanatana Goswami comments about this. It's very similar to the Srimad Bhagavatam itself, actually. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, we really don't have too much explicit mention of Srimati Radharani, but she's hinted there. And Sanatana Goswami says in the end of his Damodarashtakam, what do we call this, the vrat that we perform every Kartik? Not Katyayani vrat. Let the gopis do that. Maybe later when we become advanced. Uska naam kya hai? Urjavrat. Urjavrat. So, what is the meaning of Urjavrat? Huh? Yeah, Urja means like Tejas, but it's feminine. So Urjeshwari. Urjeshwari is Srimati Radharani. This whole thing is about her only. Damodar Vrat is actually Radha Damodar Vrat. It's like that. On the face of it, we have so much, there are other things are there. Dasa you can approach, Sakya Bhav maybe. Vatsalya is prominent in the Damodar Leela, it's a fact. Sanatana Goswami also says that. But in all cases, every sort of rasa in Krishna's Leela is actually meant to facilitate this Adi rasa, or the Ujjvala rasa, the blazing rasa, or the Madhuri rasa. So that's Srimati Radharani's department, and we're all worshipping her. And therefore, in the very end, he cannot restrain himself. Namo Radhikai Tvadiya Priyaye Namo Anantalilaya Devaya Tupyam. Many cases it's like this. They read it in this way. Is that okay? Is it clear? Okay. Anything else? Yes.
One question, Prabhuji. You were mentioning in the middle of the lecture about Krishna is Atmaram. how do we understand that he is Atmaram yet he wants to please his devotees? So is it one of those achintya bhav that we can't simply reconcile?
Now, Atmaram means him himself. We are his parts and parcels. We're part of him. We're not him entirely, but we're part of him. So he's pleased in interacting with his devotees in love. That is part of his own internal potency. It's not someone other than him. He's not enjoying something extrinsic. Everything is intrinsic to Krishna. This is the point. Vasudeva sarvamiti. You see? And devotees are also intrinsic. They're also part of his internal potency, and that is the only real source of his pleasure.
So
and not only devotees, because devotees are only representing the Bhakti Shakti or the Hladani Shakti. That Hladani Shakti is Srimati Radharani. So again, it comes back to Srimati Radharani. There's only concern is Srimati Radharani.
So can it be said that he is depending on his devotees for his pleasure?
Not only it can be said, it is being said. Tadvasha, yantra daru yantravat, the words were used. He becomes under their control totally. And yet he's not. So in that sense, you can say, yeah, it's a Chinja Veda Ved. So, you can't really wrap your head around this because it's far beyond logic. Achinti kalu ye bhavata tans tarkin yojiyet. How it is that we're to some degree conditioned by Yogamaya and to some degree conditioned by Mahamaya, so we have a problem with this. If we're totally in Mahamaya, we don't have a problem with it, because it's all mythology anyway. If we're totally in Yogamaya, we also don't have a problem with it, because we're confident that he's not God. But we're a little bit in between, and that's where the conflict comes. For those of us in this condition, we have to worry about Achintya Bheda Bhed. And the only way to really explain it is to say, Are, it's Achintya. What do you know? To the hardcore scientific-minded rationalist, it seems like a cop-out. But the fact of the matter is that there are just certain things that you can't understand. How do you explain the way that a cow turns grass into milk? She's just sitting there and eating grass, and it comes out milk. How do you explain that? They can't. So there's many things about Krishna consciousness that are just inconceivable. This is one of them. How the Lord is aptakama, but he's running around asking for sweetmeats. He's going around stealing butter, but he's already got everything that he desires. Satya kama, satya sankalpa, the Upanishads tell us. Whatever he desires, instantaneous fact. Parasya shaktir vividhayeva shriyate. They're carried out by his swabhaviki, jnana bala kriya shaktis. Everything is taken care of. That is an indirect way of talking about Srimati Radharani. Again, she's hidden. This thing is very confidential. It's very, very deep and very confidential. It's completely in the internal potency. And it doesn't really belong in the realm of logic. To try to stuff it into that procrustean bed is to defile it, actually. This thing is far beyond all of us. It is so deep and elevated. Is that okay? Yeah. Yes.
You mentioned about the monkeys in Vrindavan.
If you live in Vrindavan, you know very well what is a monkey. It is the concept monkey is much deeper for those who live in Vrindavan than it is for those who are only hypothetically.
I lived in Lucknow, and actually in that gully, we had a lot of monkeys, so we had to negotiate with them many times with a lot of different things. But I heard if you do aparadh in Vrindavan, you come back as a monkey.
Yes.
Is that true?
That's correct. Monkey or a pig, or it seems to me, having lived there for some years, that the numbers of these creatures is increasing. Because, the numbers of careless devotees are increasing due to the natural progression of the age of Kali. And if you commit sinful activities in Vrindavan, if you concern yourself with monkey-like intelligence in Vrindavan, then you become a monkey. For one life only. Then you can, again, resume your Krishna consciousness. So there's mercy there. When Krishna gives mercy, or when his devotees give mercy, sometimes it takes a little bit harsh form. We call this tough love in primary education. The kids, sometimes you have to be a little tough with them, but it's good for them. And Krishna is like that. So just to show us, we sometimes we have to take birth in these lower forms. Pigs, dogs, monkeys, crows, ityadi. So we have to be very careful. Prabhupada did not recommend people to go and live in Vrindavan in their youth. That's one thing. And he also recommended that we go to Vrindavan, at least in the beginning years of our Krishna consciousness, for short periods only. A few days, a week. Retiring to Vrindavan is for old people. And so those who are senior in Krishna consciousness. For this reason, you have to be so careful. It is dangerous. Unless we're actually, to a large extent, impervious to the waves of the modes of material nature, we run the risk at any time making a mistake. Okay? All right. Yes.
This is a question from San Diego by Danavadi Mataji. She wants to ask you about the Brajavasis who have always lived in Vrindavan. Sometimes she says they take bhang. So is it like setting a bad example? Or generally we also have this idea that whatever Brajavasis do, they are Brajavasis, we don't judge them. So she wants you to say a few words on that.
Yeah, the answer to both questions is yes. The Brajavasis are always in a transcendental position as far as we are concerned. We see them as Brajavasis, we offer respects. It's said that before one goes back to Godhead, one's final birth in this Bhoma realm is in Vrindavan. It's kind of like a, what is it? What do we call this? The doctors perform when they first start practicing. They have to go for the residency, no? So it's a little bit like that. And generally, a person should advance in Krishna consciousness at that point. Sometimes they don't. Even at that point, one can conceivably fall down again. And in fact, there's a McDonald's restaurant in Mathura, believe it or not, and they're going there. So it's very unfortunate, having come so far. Still, there are accidents even on royal roads. Now, having said that, not all of the Brajavasis are in that category. Some of them are Nityasiddhas, and we don't know who's who. We don't know. Markandeya Rishi, it's described I think it's in the Garga Samhita. He heard that Bhagavan, the Supreme Person, was performing pastimes in Vrindavan, Vraja. So he came there to see him. And he kept asking around. He knew that he was called Nanda Kumar. So he's looking around for Nanda Kumar. So some local Brajavasis pointed out, there's Nanda Kumar, he's playing with his friends over there. They're running around, they're kicking a ball back and forth, they're rolling in the dust, they're playing in so many ways. And Markandeya Rishi is thinking, this just can't be, it can't be. He didn't believe it. So then they kicked the ball over to Markandeya Rishi, it landed in his lap, and Krishna ran over to retrieve his ball. He handed it back to Krishna. Krishna smiled at him, and his eyes twinkled a little bit, and he laughed. When you laugh, you're exhaling. Then he inhaled. When he inhaled, Markandeya Rishi was sucked into his mouth. And he found himself blown into an alternate reality where everything is black. And he's floating on an ocean of something, and it's going on it seems to be infinite, endless, and timeless. And he's like, years are passing, eons or kalpas are passing by, and he's just lost in this ocean. He's not getting hungry, he's not getting tired, he's not nothing, but he's just floating in this void forever and ever and ever. And his mind is just reeling. Well, what is going on? Then finally, he washes up on a sandbar and sees that there's a tree on the shore, a banyan tree. Inside of the Vata Patra is Alalai Krishna, Vatapatra Shai Krishna. Small infant, holding his toe in his mouth, sucking on his toe. Karada vindena mukhara vinde padada vindam vinaveshayantam Vatasya patrasya puteshayanam balam mukundam manasa smarami. Bilva Mangala Thakur says, I remember this child Mukunda who lies on the nest of a banyan leaf, and with his lotus hand he takes his lotus foot and places it into his lotus mouth. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments about this. Why does Krishna do this? Of all the things that he could do, why this? That is an inconceivable matter, but Vishwanath Chakravarti explains, because Krishna has heard so many rishis and munis, they're glorifying the nectar of my lotus feet. So let me check it out and see what they're talking about. So he sees this child like this, and he washes up. He's almost half dead by this point with exhaustion and you know, he's confusion, exhaustion, hunger, everything. So he just happens to see that this boy is looking at him now, and he smiles and he laughs again. After he laughs, he takes an inhale, and Markandeya Rishi is sucked into his mouth and lands in the dust in Gokula where he was sitting originally. And Krishna takes his ball and he laughs and he runs off and continues playing with his friends. So this is, I forgot how we got on this topic now. Sorry? Yeah, Nitya Siddhas are there in Vrindavan. So you don't know who they are. See, he didn't really even believe that Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What to speak of Krishna's associates? Actually, you have to be a little more careful with Krishna's associates than you do with Krishna even. Because Krishna can forgive if you offend him, but if you offend a devotee, he won't forgive. Ambarish Maharaj is the example of that in the 9th canto. That's exactly the context in which we mentioned in the beginning. Aham bhakta paradhinaha. I'm inferior to my devotee, Krishna says. Dependent on my devotee. So some of the Brijavasis are Nitya Siddhas. Some of them are demigods also, because they're not just coming from here. They're coming from other places as well. Even in Krishna's pastimes, some of them are great rishis, some of them are great demigods, some of them are sadhana siddhas, some of them are nitya siddhas. We don't know who they are. So we have to be very careful. I hope that's satisfactory. Yes? A version of the same story is in the Bhagavatam, a little different. Sometimes these things are explained by kalpa bheda. In different kalpas, the Lord's Leela plays itself out a little differently. Just like here you have, what is that store you have here? Everybody goes to buy their groceries from what store here? Safeway, okay. So every Safeway has the same amount of stock, and they organize it pretty much in the same, it's all in the same order in every store. But the physical facilities are a little different every time. Universes are like this. Every time it's created, because they're always created and destroyed, they're created in a slightly different way. So sometimes the Lord's Leelas, given those differences, they play out in slightly different ways as well. So this pastime is actually mentioned in many, many places. It occurs in Mahabharata as well. Krishna showed this form to Yudhishthira Maharaj when he was inquiring about the end of Kali Yuga. It's really a fascinating description. If you have Mahabharata, you can read that. But that's why we have these distinctions like that. Is that clear?
But at the end of the Kalpa, the universe is not destroyed.
It happens in different times, places, and circumstances. It's like universal forms. Krishna displays different kinds of universal forms. The one that Arjuna saw was nobody ever saw. But, you know, Duryodhana saw a slightly different one. Yashoda Mata saw a slightly different one. Twice she saw it. You know, so it's all a little different. The incarnations of the Lord are innumerable like the waves, and the pastimes that he performs are also inconceivably different and unlimited. Okay, anything else? Yes. Microphone.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for the class. I had a question regarding, So one sees that in most of the ISKCON temples we don't have any deities of Bal Gopal. So is there any specific reason for that? Or
I don't know that there's any policy that's been explicated about it. But I've seen in some temples, in India. I've not seen here. In India, they're there.
Is there something like which comes from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or something like that? Or is this
not that I'm aware of. However, having said that, we can observe that in our line, most of our acharyas were in the Madhurya Rasa, and definitely emphasize that. That is the emphatic thing. Many of them are in Sakya Rasa as well. So, you know, these two are prominent. We're also instructed to see our spiritual masters in the same way, either as a representative of Srimati Radharani or her servants, or as an associate of Nityananda Prabhu and his servants. The Vatsalya Rasa is not always compatible with Madhurya Rasa, for obvious reasons. So for that reason it may not be encouraged, but it's certainly not prohibited that I can see.
Thank you.
And the worship of that form it appears in our Shastras, but it's not very emphasized. It's not very prominent. Jagannath Mishra, Shachi Mata are worshipping in their home, obviously, you know, like that. Okay? Yeah, another one in the corner. Someone, you were raising your hand?
I was just checking, Maharaj, is there any Mahabharata which is authorized or original which we can refer to, read to, or do you have any recommendation?
I can't say that. I don't have any recommendations. There are many translations. I haven't studied them, you know, scrutinizingly enough that I could give any judgment like that. Nobody has translated it for ISKCON. Yeah, it would be a good project, but it's a couple of lifetimes worth of work. It's a big task. Okay, anything else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
Prabhu, I was just wondering for the question one of the Prabhujis asked about whether not praying to, you know, having a deity of Gopal.
Yeah.
I've heard one of the lectures that in the spiritual world, Krishna is eternally, you know, a young boy. And
This comes up again and again and again. Somebody here already asked me this question, as a matter of fact. Okay. Yeah, this is what we say because there's no birth in the spiritual world, so there's no pastimes of childhood as well. But the conception is there. And in this world, therefore, many acharyas have said, for example, Kavi Karnapur says this in Chaitanya Chandrodaya Natak, that the Lord himself actually prefers his pastimes in this world to those in Goloka. And because the Lord prefers it, therefore the devotees also prefer. And, you know, this is one of the aspects that only happens in this world. And for many, many reasons, the Lord appreciates that. Here the Lord can come and he can deal with real live demons. It's kind of like live fire exercises. Because, you know, they're not just playing demons, they're actually real demons. And, you know, he gets enjoyment from that. And similarly, the childhood pastimes and the birth pastimes are here, and those devotees who are attracted by that aspect of Krishna's magnificence, they like that. So, yeah, it's true. Jiva Goswami says that. Now, having said that, somebody recently brought to my attention a quote that is interpreted in such a way as to appear that these things actually also can happen in the spiritual world. But that is only one of multiple interpretations possible, and I've not heard it emphasized by our acharyas. So I couldn't really say.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So we end here, and we are very blessed and grateful for your wonderful association at ISV and very amazing Nectarian Krishna Katha, and what to speak of your melodious Kirtan. And we pray to Mahaprabhu, Radha Madan Mohan and Lakshmi Nrsimha Dev that Mukunda Datta Prabhu and his wife Srimurti Mataji keep coming here every year and give us that wonderful association.
Thank you.
So in our traditional ISV way, please pray our grateful and obeisance to Mukunda Datta Prabhu and his wife Srimurti Mata. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Thanks, Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to the devotees of ISV. Hare Krishna.